Good morning, folks. So, D-Wave Quantum came out with its Q4 2024 earnings today, and the stock a lot of folks have been watching since the quantum stock boom in the fourth quarter of last year, and they're just, with their fourth quarter results out, we can kind of see how maybe some of that actually affected their fundamentals because even though most of the quantum companies are, a few years out from um, actually being commercially viable or profitable. Um, D-Wave is a bit ahead of the others in the type of quantum that it focuses on. And even for the ones that aren't there yet, I think Q4 was probably just a great free marketing opportunity for them so that if there were any customers that they were looking to court to help boost their revenues, give them more chances to try out their product, make it a more customer-facing product, to develop it in a more customer-oriented uh, manner, and then, but also just to have revenue, a little extra revenue to slow down their cash burn at the very least. It accomplished that for all of them, and so that's why I was curious to look at D-Wave today because I thought it was the most promising. So I'm going to be referencing some information here on Seeking Alpha. So they did a release this morning themselves. D-Wave Quantum stock up on robust outlook, strong bookings. Let's take a look actually at where they are in the pre-market. So they're at like 605 in pre-market trading right now, and looks like they're going to be at least higher than they were a few days ago. I don't know how much they're really going to pop because there was already a lot of action yesterday. If you look here, and I got as high. I don't think it's quite as captured, but I remember I saw it get as high as like $6.30. It's definitely been higher. Got over to the $10 mark. I don't know if it's going to be this level of excitement again. I mean, this seems to be meme stock stuff that was happening. So I don't know how much the memesters are going to return today or not. And just so folks know, I did buy about 1,500 shares earlier this week in anticipation that the Q4 results would be good. So, and they appeared with it. So, if we look at this is the press release. It's not the most visually pleasing press release with this dark background and light text, but it is what it is, I suppose. So yesterday they also had made a another press release about saying they had quantum computational supremacy on a useful real-world problem that was published in Science, and that was what caused yesterday's huge rally. And then one thing they mentioned here, they introduced an on-premises systems offering to enable customers to push the boundaries of quantum-fueled experimentation, development, and usage. Also announced that the Jülich Supercomputing Center is the first high-performance computing center to purchase and own a D-Wave Advantage annealing quantum computing system. It is expected that D-Wave system will be connected to the Jupiter supercomputer, its personally exascale HPC, to facilitate breakthroughs in AI and quantum optimization applications. Announced the Quantum Uplift program to address customers' disappointment with competitor quantum systems that have proven to be incapable of solving practical real-world problems and lack reliable uptime and availability. The program offers incentives to dissatisfied organizations towards purchase of D-Wave event system that will enable them to pursue groundbreaking research and novel AI applications. Announced the calibration of a third 4400 qubit Advantage 2 processor compared with the current advantages in the Advantage 2 processor. Deliver significant performance gains with double qubit coherence time, which drives faster time to solution, a 40% increase in energy scale for higher quality solutions, and increased qubit connectivity from 15-way to 20-way, enabling solutions to larger, more complex world problems. Works with customers on a variety of quantum and hybrid quantum applications, including drug discovery, Japan tobacco insurance, portfolio optimization with LETA, the technology and data factory of Unipol. So this part I think is actually important because I think the quantum stock boom in the last quarter has probably made it easier for them to do this, and products improve when companies get to work with customers. So the more that um, potential customers are thinking about quantum now, the more that they're going to have opportunities to do this. Where somebody who, be any organization, right, whether it's a business or a school, some sort of government agency, if they have a little extra in their budget somewhere and they're thinking, well, what do we do with this? What's something we should pursue? Um, Anytime there's extra money and they see that there's a value prospect in something like this, now they're more likely to know about it. People in that situation. Um, all right, so introduce the LEAP Quantum Launchpad program designed to accelerate the exploration and development of quantum hybrid quantum applications. The program is structured as a 43-month trial, provides access to D-Wave's production-gated enabling quantum computers, LEAP real-time quantum cloud service, as well as expert project support. Okay, that's good. That'll probably help their customer acquisition. LEAP is their cloud service, basically. It's like their software platform. Since he launched a new Quantum Realize brand campaign to show the benefits of today's quantum computing, presented a framework to help customers evaluate quantum computing companies' relative value. That's an interesting statement. Help customers evaluate a quantum computing company's relative value. What does that mean? Is a quantum computing company a customer that would be using quantum computing? Is it something like D-Wave? That's a good question. Relative value. Right. Let's get to the numbers here. Okay. Revenue for the year ended was 8.8 million compared to it was flat compared to revenue 8.8 million for the year of 2023. Okay, and that's not surprising considering their Q3 was weaker, but their Q4 was better. Bookings were 23.9 million, an increase of 13.4 million, or 128% of 10.5 million for the year. So that's good. Definitely more interest. So 135 customers compared to 133. 76 commercial compared with 78. 59 research compared with 55. 28 Forbes Global 2000 customers compared with 27 Forbes Global 2000 customers. Okay. GAAP gross profit. All right, 5.6 million growth of 1 million, 20%. Increase in higher margin QCAS. Okay. Okay, good. So the higher margin revenue opportunities are coming out. That's good. All right, 63% is still really good. They just need to scale it more. That's basically what this means. Operating expenses. Let's take a look at that. 82.8 million compared to 85.2. Decreases in non-cash stock-based compensation expense. That's good. It means they won't be diluting as much, I suppose. All right, let's compare just the fourth quarter. 2.3 million, decrease of 0.6. Okay, so bookings are really the key driver of the growth story. 18.3 million, increase of 15.3 million. So really a lot of bookings. And that makes sense considering the quantum stock rally happened on the latter half of Q4. So if they did get any extra business, I'd love to be listening to the earnings call right now, but it started at 8 a.m. and I was not up yet. And they don't seem to have like a live feed you can jump into. Some companies will have it where you can join. They'll basically immediately archive it, kind of like this stream where you just can start the stream where it started and go at your own pace. But they don't have that quite yet. So I'll have to listen to it later today. So bookings, higher gross profit. All right, lower professional services revenue. Yeah, that's not the core business though. Operating expenses. All right, increase in personnel costs, fabrication costs. Okay. That's not too surprising. All right, balance sheet and liquidity. This is also very important to see. The consolidated cash balance totaled 178 million on the date of the earnings press release. Exceeded 300 million. Okay, so this is the end of the quarter. So the end of the press release. That's good. And then I guess this mainly has to do with the fact that they raised 161 million to their at the market offering during the fourth quarter and into the Q1 of 2025. And then an additional 146.2 million. Okay. Okay, so they paid off the remaining balance of their secured term loan. That is good. That's very good. So that interest expense will be gone, and it's just you never want to have an outstanding term loan if you can avoid it. Okay, great. Great. All right. So Q1 outlook. Revenue to exceed 10 million, with a significant portion of the first quarter revenue, including revenue recognized sale of an Advantage. Advantage annealing quantum computer. So we're getting that sold now. That's good. I mean, that's pretty excited. Let's take a look at what was their Q1 results for last year. Right, show me this. What kind of revenue did they have last year? 2.5 million. So that's going to be 4 times revenue in Q1 for this year. No, that's pretty good. I'd be pretty happy if I were D-Wave. So yeah, I think I think there's actually a case here that D-Wave should be viewed as a growth company because unlike the other quantum companies, which are very much still development phase things, to the extent that they have any contracts, they're very essentially they're to subsidize their experimentation and their R&D with the customer. As opposed to just have a completely internal R&D, they're getting some initial customers to just try things out with them. It's usually labs at a school or something. They're clearly showing people actually interested, and they have a lot of commercial customers, which is good. So I think with their stronger products out, the fact that I think that probably more people are aware of them and thinking about this sort of thing, I think any companies that were slow to think about what, say, generative AI could do in terms of problem solving for their company, and what value that unlocks, are more in that mindset now. I don't imagine all companies, all management teams, all executive teams of all companies clicked into that immediately. But it's been about a year and a half now where I think the case has been made about why AI servers are being built out, and companies with that infrastructure and their operating structure are going to have a lot of improvements and efficiencies, that either reduce unit costs for whatever it is they produce, or increase their ability to produce more at the same amount of inputs, amount of costs. And I think now that more people are used to thinking about how basically you can just flip a switch with the right technology, they're more open-minded to something like quantum. That's just me reading the room. I don't have any research on which to base that, but it's just sort of a thing I've been thinking about. Like what is the when you look at stocks and you try to think about, well, what is the growth story? You have to look at you have to try and put yourself in the minds of just society at large, I think. This best view on Steamable remove the space. What is this? Okay, whatever. It's spammed. Okay, so let's take a look. Actually, I think this is Seeking Alpha, so we can go back to what I had originally written about them back in December when I took a first look at them. And we'll see if any of the concerns I had here have been at least somewhat addressed, right? I don't expect everything to be fixed in a single quarter, but if I find that there's some compelling reason to think it's improving. So let's take a look here. All right, so I mentioned here that Leap's pricing is inadequate at current volumes to cover operating expenses. With a 3-month free trial to try and retain the customers, I don't think that really addresses that up front. It's not uncommon for companies in a growth stage. It's a what you call a cost of customer acquisition. And so my guess is that they're doing a similar thing. I mean, we've all seen some kind of software service where you get the first month or a few months free. Some even do the first year free. Or then, if you remember like Cash App or Venmo and things like that, if you refer a friend, you and your friend get $5 or $10. I remember, what was it called? Chime, that digital bank. They give you $100 if you and a friend did a reference. So, not great for now because, again, with every company, you want to see that they're not burning cash, but then they have to get to the point where they're big enough that they can sell more and then they spend on selling, basically. So, company cited a CAGR of revenue growth of 21% since 2018. That's a fine rate of growth. It's also kind of, I don't know if it's really a long enough period, or when you're going from essentially zero, it's going to be probably a high rate of revenue growth either way. But I think the growth in revenue year over year is much more indicative of the fact that there's some interest and demand in what they do. So let's see. The main thing I was concerned about, I think, was debt on the balance sheet and ongoing cash burn. With the debt paid off, that's an issue. These at the market offerings were not done yet, so they have a much stronger balance sheet. They've bought themselves more time for being able to operate. I mean, if we look at what their cash burn was, let's see if the press release shows the cash burn. Doesn't look like it does. Oh, wait, there's this very difficult to read financial table. This is the balance sheets. 3 months ended. Oh, this is the Q1. This is Q1. I've stolen that tab. Let's go down here then. All right. Oh, cash flow. Okay. So net cash used in operating activities at 40. So lower quarter over quarter, or year over year, I should say. Yeah, this is for the whole year. Okay, this is just the quarter. All right. So they've reduced their cash burn. That is a good thing. They have about $300 million in cash, and let's just say they can keep their cash burn somewhere between 40 and 50 million. They have about 5 or 6 years that they can run without going out of business. So that's the good news. And if they can grow their revenue and grow that at a faster rate than they grow their expenses, then this cash burn goes down. And their 5 or 6 year timeline, could become a 7, 8 year timeline, maybe a 9 to 10 year timeline. So those are things that we're going to have to keep in mind to watch for in the upcoming quarters. So I think it's looking good for D-Wave. It looks like the market's about to open too. So let's take a look at what the price is going to be like at the open. This is going to be entertaining, I'm sure. I imagine some of you are probably not even going to be looking at my screen. You're going to be looking at whatever your like trading screen is if you've got any open positions. Not that I blame you. I mean, you want to catch that early morning pop. All right, 929. Let's see what the very first opening price is. It's pre-market's already over $6. So let's see. Okay, 610, 612. Okay. I went ahead and just sold what I had my HSA. I had bought for $4.79 a share there, so I made an easy profit. All right, let me take a look here. Go ahead and probably close out a lot of these positions since I'm already up. Oh. Last time, so the reason I went ahead and sold my HSA is because I had a stock position. It's a small semiconductor company. They had a good Q4, and this happened like 2 weeks ago. They had a good Q4, not even 2 weeks ago, and the stock shot up 10% in the morning. Okay, but that was the same morning that everyone started getting scared about the market. And so for the first 5 minutes, they shot up 10%, and then they went down back to lower than where they were the day before. So I actually was not able to close out my HSA position at a profit. Okay, D-Wave's going a bit higher now. Okay. Let's just wait this out. But yeah, so obviously I want my HSA to grow because technically you can get yourself free healthcare for life if you do that enough. That's what an HSA is. A lot of people don't know that you can invest through your HSA and pick stocks, but you can. All right, what am I up in my main account? My main account, I'm up 1,300. Okay, that's not bad. Let that go a little bit more then, I guess. So yeah, let me go ahead and refresh the Seeking Alpha page. Let's take a look at the comments on Seeking Alpha. Let's see what folks are saying here. Revenue projections look great. Should be an interesting day. Yeah, it is going to be an interesting day. I wonder if is this person skeptical? Are they saying run away from this stock? I wish I knew. I really wish I could tell. What were people saying about the preview? Let's see. Oh, and if we go back to here, so I wrote this in December. It was at $9 when I wrote it, and I said it was a hold. And I only write things as buys or holds these days. I don't write sells because I don't want people to get the impression that they should short a stock, which is where the editorial standards on Seeking Alpha lean. So I think buy and don't buy is a decent enough rating system. I let people decide when they want to sell for themselves. So, all right, still going up a bit. Oh, yeah, really going up. Probably lost myself a couple $100 in my HSA by doing that, but oh well, no big deal. Wonder how my call contracts are going to do. I don't know if people can comment on through StreamYard on Twitch. I feel like they should be able to, but I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how chats and live streaming works on Twitch. I'm not Twitch, yeah, Twitter. Blah. That's not a very nice thing to say about them at all. And really, I should be calling them X. Elon worked so hard to acquire them just for us, and I can't even name them right. It doesn't look like there's comments. It's interesting to see a live feed of myself. It's like a infinite portal effect. Okay. Let's see what people are saying about D-Wave real quick. Mostly just stuff. Same kind of stuff. Oh god, this person was worried. Wow, okay. I think that's funny. Okay, wow, they're really all over the place right now. I'll go ahead and sell in my Raw. Up $479 in my Raw. Okay. That's a good thing, I suppose. I don't think we need to have it stuck on this airplane thing, though. Okay. Oh yeah, and then I had actually one call I bought that I'm gonna make probably about $100 on as well. I might as well go ahead and put in a sell order for that. Well, no, I can wait for them. It's just a call. It wasn't as much capital. So yeah, I will put in a limit order for them. That's just a nicer price. Bam. I'll put it in for like I bought it for about 50, so I'll put it a limit order for 175. If not, I'll probably still close that at a higher price. All right. The question is, do I go ahead and sell in my main account now? It's at a $1,700 gain as we speak. It seems like there's a good reason to, right? Or shit, not even 10 minutes in. This is the thing about trading, which I really don't do much, but because I only ended up putting like maybe about 6,000 among my 30 accounts into them, and then that's only a small percentage of my overall capital base. But mostly in cash right now. I'm waiting for people to keep panicking and give me better prices on things. Right, so you guys saw my Daniel Negreanu tab. So let's see what he's saying today real quick. Your poker is, I think, its own type of investing. What does he think about quantum computing today? He hasn't said anything today. Okay, that's good. All right, let's search D-Wave. Let's see what happens if we look that up. Let's hit D-Wave. Okay, obviously D-Wave's shooting their own horn. Trending stocks. Okay. Oh. Saw stock hit 670 for a moment there. Okay, fascinating stuff. Maybe I should have a limit order for 7. I feel like I should do that. I don't think I'll hate myself if I do. Oh wow, it's 672 now. Maybe I shouldn't put in an order at all yet. I have over 58 viewers. How do I have over 58 viewers? They must all be from X. That must be it. I don't imagine this being a YouTube thing. If you want to leave a reply saying that you're one of those 58 viewers from X or something, and please do. And also, if you want me to do more detailed look at the fundamentals, D-Wave, and some of the other content companies, really any company, let me know. But I definitely like making more content, especially beyond Seeking Alpha, because I make enough money from Seeking Alpha. And it's very dry stuff. It's very simple stuff. I'm probably going to write an article about D-Wave right after this to catch up on Q4. And it's going to be, it's definitely going to make me more money than anything I do on X, because I don't make money on anything I do on X right now. And my last article on D-Wave made me a decent amount of money. But I would definitely like to just try more content out to, basically swap stock ideas with the broader online community and just the thread of Seeking Alpha. And if it makes money too, then that's good as well. Let's see. Oh, Sean, what do I think about the Tesla situation? You tell me what the Tesla situation is. Are you talking about like the terrorist attacks or whatever we call them, the vandalism? Are you talking about the fact that Trump bought a Tesla from Elon? And he's like, I love Tesla. I've always loved Tesla. Nobody loves electric vehicles more than me. I don't know. But let's take a look again at the markets and how they're. D-Wave is at 689 now. It's getting up there. I wonder if my my rock position, my call has sold yet. No, not quite. Oh, 692. Okay. I'm up over 2K in my main account at that price. Okay. It's making its way up there. I wonder if people are just wondering if 7 is something like a ceiling. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think there's the same kind of hype that there was back in like December or whatever. I don't think it would be terrible to sell right now. I might as well. Okay, I went ahead and sold. 689. My entry price was 476, I think. Yeah, I'll go ahead and sell my one call. About a $5 call as well. I'll go ahead and sell that. sell that for. I'm gonna make. Nope. Made $1.80 on it. So I spent 53 on it. Sold it for $1.80. So I needed about another 130 there off the call. So not bad. All right. Well, that was a pretty successful trading week. So if I rock call, I do. That's the only one left. It looks like it's receding a bit from the 680s. Who knows what's going to happen? Go ahead and just close that though. Okay. See what else people are saying about QBTS. Anyone with like more pointed commentary? Let's see. Alan Barrett said, "E-wave is quantum realized." Okay. All right, great. So this is an example of me doing a little bit of swing trading, and I wouldn't even call it day trading because I bought it a few days ago when the shares were still about 476. Because I got lucky with the timing there. I'm lucky. I think that people in the market got scared right before these Q4 earnings come out. Let's take a look at how the other quantum stocks are reacting to this. So let's take a look at quantum computing. Okay, they're up a bit for the morning. They seems to be correlating. Let's take a how Rigetti is responding. Also up a bit, not quite as much of a margin of growth, which makes sense. Let's take a look at IonQ. Much slower for them. When did their Q4 come out? Oh, they've already had them. Oh, okay. I read about them too. Okay. This one I wrote about more recently. I actually think this one is very, very interesting. They are not interesting. Very interesting. Have they been? Let's take a look at the last 5 days. Okay, so there's been some optimism with them. At least from here, still down for the month. Yeah, I wrote about them February 9th. I said hold. Okay, down 29%. People must have not liked Q4 when it came out then. That's interesting. That is interesting. Alan Barrett's. Now, he doesn't look like a guy who spent his whole time in a lab making a quantum computer. Not that's what he did, but that's kind of how a lot of these scientific company founders are. One thing I had said, really in a lot of my analyses of the quantum companies, is they have to make that transition from being very scientific to being businesses. Even if they were technically corporations up to this point, a lot of technological companies like these, I say that instead of just tech because obviously I don't want to loop in Google or Microsoft, but they start out just sort of being like a project and they use a C corp structure to finance their project. When they finally get to something where there's a product that can be used, they have to pivot from being just researchers and inventors to being businessmen, to having a profitable operating model that can self-sustain. And that requires a certain personality type. And if you're too tunnel visioned on just being a scientist and And people say, well, maybe we shouldn't fund that because we don't know if it would be useful. But all you think is the technology is cool, and you're like, oh, why would it be useful? It's easy for a person running that company to just burn away shareholder money. Rate his stake. Let's see. There we go. You're eating meat in 2025, so 10 out of 10. No, Novo Nordisk. Hate the Ozempic semaglutide. How do you say that? Semaglutide, the weight loss miracle drugs. Hate that stuff. Is this? Oh, okay. Man, people are getting a view of like what my ex habits are. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's go back to D-Wave and take a look at their 676. I don't know if they're going to hit 7. The first hour is always the craziest too. First hour, and the last hour of a day, and then even the last 10 minutes especially can be crazy. Especially on a Friday. Last 10 minutes on a Friday. If you ever watch stock prices, I've done that for certain swing trades I've done here and there. And and it wasn't even because I was necessarily trying to get out that day, but just sort of like, what does the market do? And I've just noticed that it's pretty common for the last 10 minutes to be pretty active, even for completely different stocks. I guess it's good that I got around 690 because I sold pretty early with some of my smaller positions in my non-taxable accounts, but that's okay. I still made money. Said everything. Oh yeah, Sean, I forgot about your Tesla question. Heard quantum computer is always 50 years away, like fusion energy. So with Tesla, I know that its share price is down a lot. I kind of thought it was overpriced anyway. I mean, if we look at, just go. I guess the convenient thing about having Seeking Alpha open is I can just say what I thought about it at some point, or show what I thought about it at some point. I rated it a hold, but it was basically this price. I mean, obviously people are looking at when it was up here and then it went down, but it's basically at the current price where I wrote it. And, I thought it was pretty, I thought it's been a pretty rich share price, or more accurate, pretty rich market cap, because this is, right, even after this big dip, it's an $800 billion company. Right? It's been over $1 trillion before. It's an $800 billion company, and let's just look at the cash flow, right? So it generates about 15 billion in cash from its operations. It spends a little over 11 billion on capex. Now that's a bit higher than previous years. So let's just say they were spending a little bit more in development here. Let's say they can keep it around a $15 billion figure, and a more normal capex would be something like 6 or 7 billion, right? So what? They're generating 8 to 9 billion in cash a year. And so why should a company generating $8 to $9 billion be worth almost 800 billion, even if they're growing? Because as a car company goes, they're about as big as GM or Ford or any of the Korean or Japanese automakers, give or take some tens of billions. But I mean, they're not significantly larger in that sense. So let's look at their revenue, right? 97.7 billion in revenue. Let's take a look at Ford. Right, they've got basically half the revenue of Ford. Let's take a look at GM. About half the revenue of them. Is Chrysler? Chrysler got acquired, or they're under a different ticker now. I can't remember. Let's look at Kia. How do I find Kia? What was their ticker again? But what's a ticker for another auto company? I can't remember. Oh boy, I'm drawing a blank here. Anyway, now some people will say, well, Tesla's more than a car company, right? And I would agree. Tesla is really fundamentally, it is a car company as a stepping stone to being an autonomous machine company. And Ford is not that, and GM is not that, Kia is not that, and Honda is not that, and none of them are that. Only Tesla of the automakers is that. So that is an important distinction. But that's still a very long-dated future value, if you ask me. And so yeah, I basically always thought Tesla trades at a premium. Even after the amount that it's down, it's 3%. 1 month, it's down about 30%, I guess, depending on who you count. But I can't really see why Tesla's been priced the way it is, other than the fact that Elon Musk is a meme, and people just assume that things will always go well for him. Which he's had a lot go well for him, so I don't necessarily blame people for erring on the side of Elon. Oh, look, he liked what I said. That's great. I have ex-friends. I'm living the life. Okay. Interesting stuff about Ukraine. Not really my main interest right now. Let's take a look again let's take a look at what Sean was saying. Quantum is always 50 years away. So I think that's true for some aspects of it, but I mean, D-Wave has a commercially viable product now. And that's because usually when people talk about quantum, they're talking about gate quantum computing. And gate quantum computing is tricky in that you have to calibrate the gates. It has to do with the way quantum computers work. There's an error correction. So I'm not a scientist. I didn't, study this stuff. I was not a STEM major. But my general understanding is that the probabilistic nature of quantum both gives them more computational power because they're not limited to binary, because they can use the probabilistic in-between nature of 0 and 1 effectively to just have more letters in their alphabet. But this also means the probabilistic nature means that there's a certain amount of error in computation, and then you can build a correction system into that. And essentially, quantum computers need to have their internal correction system that at least keeps up with the rate of errors. Basically, they can correct the parts that go off of where it should be. And so they have to get their error rate down to nearly 0%, and then their system for correcting errors has an easier time keeping up with whatever computation they're trying to do and correct the errors fast enough to still run the computation. I hope that's not a terrible way of explaining it. That's how I understand it as somebody who was more in the social sciences in my education, my formal education. And even in investing, I would say it's mostly a social science, even though there's more numbers to it. So that's what most quantum computing companies do. And D-Wave is different in that they don't do that. They do a thing called annealing. And annealing quantum is more like it's used for optimization issues, and it's sort of like using the faster computational power of quantum to, as I guess a way of putting it would be like, it worked kind of like when you pour water into something and it takes like whatever shape it has, it kind of just runs through a problem like that. And they've developed a computer that can do that efficiently, that it has some commercially viable use. And so some customers are paying for it. Now, I will note that even though it's commercially viable, And I think this is the thing that D-Wave isn't being dishonest when they say this, but they're definitely giving the most optimistic interpretation of their company, is that it's one thing to say that it's commercially viable and actually used in production, right? It's another thing to say that your product creates enough value that you can price it high enough that you not only have a gross profit, but you have an operating profit and you have positive free cash flow. And D-Wave is not there yet. So they could try to maybe say, hey, let's charge 4 times what we charge, right? If quantum really is so supreme to classical, and the argument being quantum, just based on the basic theories in computer science, is that once it reaches supremacy, it's not just whatever multiple better, but as you scale, the advantage over classical is exponential. And so some computational problems that would take the classical computer, even the best ones today, and the best ones today are even the ones that run on NVIDIA's GPUs. Those could take them millions of years to solve just because of the density of the problem, and quantum computing can do them in some of those in minutes. That's the advantage there once you scale it up. Right. So if it really is that night and day of a difference, you would think, okay, surely they can price well enough that whatever problem solving they're doing through classical computers, it's just obviously the advantage is too good, right? But I don't think the technology is. I just think the reality is that if that's where they were, they could price it like that. Just like when NVIDIA's GPU, when they developed it to the point where, well, it's not, we don't need to just use it for video gaming. It's actually great for AI as well. They started putting out chips specifically for that, for data centers. It wasn't speculative about what value it could unlock for customers. It was very clear that that's what it could do. And so, businesses look at their operating models. They look at what they have on the table when AI is solving problems for them, either performing tasks at a higher rate or spotting inefficiencies in their business model that just would have been impossible to spot, even with not only human eyes at the time, but different types of algorithmic analysis that were available at the time. AI has kicked it up to just a whole other level. That this is why companies are just throwing their money at NVIDIA, and why NVIDIA went from, let's look at NVIDIA's revenue growth. Right. So let's take a look at just 2023 is when the whole AI thing started. So this is the fiscal year ended 2023. So 2024, January 2024 is when they finally start realizing revenue from the benefits of AI. I mean, and look at this, right? They've got like 5 times their revenue in 2 years. And that is pretty much all a function of we're charging higher price for this. It really comes down to that. I mean, look at their cash flow statement here, right? Their cash from operations went up. Their capital expenditures, it really isn't up that much, right? It's up. It went from about just under $1 billion to a little over $3 billion. Their cash from operations goes from about $9 billion. It goes down a bit for fiscal 2023, right? But it's just they did not have to invest as much back into the company. This is pretty much all a consequence of their ability to raise price because they had a clearly superior product that created value for their customers. Where, especially big corporate accounts, right? They can look at it and say, okay, we spend $5 million on this for our AI data server. We're going to save $50 million in what was before just an unavoidable amount of budget expenses, right? There's no reason for them not to do that, right? It's basically saying like, hey, you can trade $5 million for $50 million, right? I'm just trade a $5 bill for a $50 bill. There's nobody who's not going to do that. That's the easiest way, and that's what a lot of companies are finding. So all of that to say, qubits, not webits. All of that to say, if the advantage were only receding a bit, I guess I got out at a pretty good time then. If you look at the revenue here, right, this is definitely growth. This is improvement, but it's just there's nothing to say that they're clearly and immediately solving a problem that could have widespread adoption. But they are getting there. That's the important thing. They are getting there, and if they can have revenues in the tens of millions this year, that will be an important step, because that's many multiples of growth, and it'll be similar to the rate of growth we were seeing with NVIDIA. The difference was NVIDIA was already cash flow positive, and D-Wave is not yet. So yeah. Well, anyway, I think, how long have I been at this now? It's been about an hour. So yeah, that essentially summarizes my thoughts on D-Wave and what I think about the opportunity there. If any of you had shares, I hope you bought in less. I hope you're not the people who bought in was around 9 or 10 and hoping this would save your investment. If you did make money, congratulations. And I'll see you later, Sean. I guess when I have another interesting stock, quantum computing, QUBT, is coming out later this month with their Q4 earnings. I might stream about them. So see you guys on X and the other platforms in the meantime.